Back on Get Up with my favorite part of the morning when Jalen gets the question wrong. We left you with this. True or false? Virginia Tech has beaten Duke now in consecutive meetings for the first time in program history. Jalen, is that true or false?
I love court storming, number one. Number two, I would say that Virginia Tech has beaten Duke in consecutive meetings for the first time in program history. That is true.
Okay, perfect. It's false. Virginia Tech has done it before. The most recent time was 1921. Maria, show us how they did it.
You had a 50-50 chance. All right, Jalen, don't give up.
1921?
Never give up. Let's go take you back to Duke taking on Virginia Tech.
Right.
Remember, Zion still out. Second game straight, mild knee sprain. R.J. Barrett, we need you to pick up some of the slack. Only thing, Jalen, is he struggled in the first half. 1 for 7, 4 points before going into the locker room.
This is what I love about sports, because just yesterday everybody was saying this guy should go number 1 in the draft. Virginia Tech had him on the scouting report, treated him like a number 1. He struggled in the first half.
Let me say this, though. He went into the locker room with about 40 seconds to play in the first half. He was feeling ill, came back, and this is what he does. Knocks down the 3. He's able to pull Duke within 3 with that jumper.
That's the improvement of his game right there, Maria, the ability to go right and actually finish at the hoop. He's a terrific prospect.
Finding Marquise Bolden for the slam. And right now, Duke looking to get a win. Remember, they haven't lost on the road at all this season.
Brother Marquise a brother. 2 Live Crew reference.
I didn't get it. Pass back out to Barrett. He knocks it down. He ends up finishing 8 for 15 after going 1 for 7 in the first half, 21 points. But Duke loses on the road for the first time this season, 77-72. And R.J. Barrett's numbers, let's go through them. He's been efficient inside the arc without Zion, but he can't say the same about outside the arc, which is a lot to be said about Duke in general, shooting the 3. Over the last 3 games, Barrett is shooting 27% from 3 and 77% on all other attempts.
And I'm delighted to have Jay Billis with us on the phone for a couple of quick minutes here on Get Up. Jay, thank you for doing this. And so let's start with this. If I am a huge fan of Duke this morning, how would you assess the level of concern I should have about this team right now?
Well, Greeny, I would say your level of concern should be, when is Zion going to be back? And will Duke be able to shoot the ball consistently from game to game? Because that's really the issue. Virginia Tech was laying off Trey Jones and back in the middle of the lane and basically packing things in to try to take away drives to the basket. And then the other thing that Virginia Tech did to Duke is they didn't turn the ball over and allow Duke to get out in transition. But with Zion Williamson in there, do I believe that Duke is the better team and Duke is the best team in the country? I do. It's more a health thing than anything, because everybody's going to get beat from time to time. But I do think healthy Duke's still the best team.
Can we talk about R.J. Barrett for just a minute? The absence of Zion, a lot of people looked at this as an opportunity for him to really shine. As great as he's been somewhat outshone by his higher-profile teammate to this point. How would you assess his game last night?
R.J. Barrett has been outstanding all year long. He's been leading the ACC in scoring. He's been a fantastic playmaker and has had unbelievably good games throughout the course of the year. It's just, as you said, he's playing with what the NBA scouts are calling a unicorn now in Zion Williamson. I've said this consistently from the beginning of the year. I've not closed the door to R.J. Barrett being the number 1 pick. I think he's built for the NBA. He reminds me a lot of James Harden in the way he plays and can get to the basket as a finisher. And I think he's an improving shooter that is going to be a good shooter in the NBA. I don't know that Zion Williamson is going to be that. I think he'll improve in it. But I think R.J. Barrett's already a much better shooter, and I think he's trending upwards even as we speak. So there are a lot of reasons to take Zion Williamson number 1. He's an amazing player. He brings some things off the court that will excite people. But I think R.J. Barrett is going to be an NBA All-Star for a long, long time.
Conversation we've had here a lot the last few days. Jay, thanks a million for doing this. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, back to baseball and some sneaky big news. We've been talking about the implementation of a pitch clock, which would hold both pitchers and batters accountable for game speed, and owners have been threatening to install this as early as this year. Now, as a part of the negotiation with the players, it looks like the pitch clock may be delayed in exchange for other things. Jeff Passan, explain.
Major League Baseball on Tuesday sent a proposal to the Major League Baseball Players Association offering to get rid of a potential 20-second pitch clock until the expiration of the current collective bargaining agreement in 2022. It comes with conditions, of course. As part of the proposal, there would be a 3-batter minimum in 2020, as well as a July 31st trade deadline and no trading in August, and limits on position players pitching. The Major League Baseball Players Association has yet to respond, but should do so in the coming weeks.
All right, Jeff, so sneaky is the operative word here. So the owners say, here's something we could implement unilaterally if we wanted to. We won't if you give us a bunch of stuff that we want. What do you make of that?
The owners are so smart, and they've done it the past 5 to 10 years. The owners are slowly clawing back some of the things that the players, had the leg up on in previous negotiations. So a few years ago, players want an extra day off after the All-Star break because it wasn't long enough. Owners are like, all right, great, but we're going to have a salary cap now. And everyone's like, okay, I'll take it. This is one of those things. It's almost like a bait and switch. The owners throw something out there that they know every player is going to be, not every player, most players are going to be against. And it's just going to be negotiation leverage for the next few years. The owners played this perfectly.
Which I agree with. But let me make a separate point. It doesn't mean what they want to get from the players now isn't the right thing. It is in the best interest of the game. And here would be my message to players. And as one who grew up with the game, and I've loved the game all of my life. And it would be this. If you love baseball, then what you have to recognize is that Rob Manfred and the people who run the sport are telling you with their actions, we need to do this stuff. We cannot have a different pitcher for every hitter in every single inning, especially when we get later in the season. We have to move things along. It is in the best interest of the game long term. And if you love the game of baseball, even if it does interfere with your routine and things like that, which I get, you have to recognize this is what the sport needs.
I completely agree, Greeny. This is the thing. So Max Scherzer, who's one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, comes out against it, and he's very vocal. Well, listen, Max Scherzer's making $30 million a year. He's got a routine. Of course, Max Scherzer's going to be against this. But this rule, this 20-second pitch clock, is not for Max Scherzer. It's for the next generation of pitchers that if you actually want people to come to your games and watch games on TV, you need to have a little bit better pace so the next generation of players can get $30 million contracts.
Let me ask you this. When you played, did you feel as though pace of play was a problem or an issue that needs to be addressed?
Absolutely. By the end of my career, I'd sit at first base and go, let's go, guys, throw the pitch. I mean, I'm not saying it out loud, but in my head, I'm saying this is too slow. I'm feeling like the game is screeching to a halt with the pitch changes, with the time in between pitches, the mound visits. We've helped a little bit with the mound visits. Hopefully we won't have pitchers in and out all the time. So baseball understands this has to be done. The players are going to fight it because that's what they do best. But I think the owners realize they're going to get something for this.
And I'm sympathetic to the Max Scherzers, just using him as the spokesperson for that side of it. I get it. This is the way you've done it all your life, and it works, and I'm successful at it. I don't want to change it. But I think you have to recognize, if you love the game, and I believe these players do love the game, that is in the best interest of the game long term. There won't be a game, or at least it will not be what it is today, 20 years from now, if they don't do some of the stuff. I really believe that.
Yeah, and Rob Manfred, his job, the commissioner of baseball's job, is to protect the game for future generations. That's exactly what he's trying to do. All
right, I'm with you. We'll talk more about this a little bit later. Meantime, did you hear what Paul Pierce said about LeBron James yesterday? It was stunning. And guess what? It might have been absolutely right. We're going to talk about that coming up next. And after their worst performance of the season, the Celtics are sinking. We know the main reason why they're struggling. Can Jalen figure out how to keep them afloat? We'll talk about that as we roll on. Get up on ESPN.